So what we're trying to achieve here is the regeneration of a building at risk that hasn't been accessible to the public for decades. We want to create immersive opportunities where people can learn about the stories of the men that worked in here, but also really inspire the next generation to understand Scotland's energy transition story. So the first thing that I see is people coming in here and getting a sense of the smell, the heat, the noise, the stories of people that used to work here, but also an understanding about the architecture of this building. It powered the entire colliery. So what you have here is basically an engineering upcycling project. We've got 8 Lancashire boilers that were rescued or brought from Gretna Munitions Factory post First World War and used to power our historic winding engine, which we're also looking to restore, which in turn took the men down into the pit and brought the coal back up. These were in operation from 1924 all the way through to the colliery ceased production in 1981. So the colliery is still being steam powered at that point. And that's really, really interesting because at one point, steam was creating electricity. And towards the end of its life, the colliery started to produce its own power, which then helped some of the housing and some of the wider developments across the area. But crucially, now that we're into the 21st century, we're looking to be inspired by the technology that was used here in terms of our green energy future. So we know that things continue to evolve, and our aspirations for this building is to create a new energy centre where people come on site, they learn about the science and technology behind these boilers and how they powered the site, but also about the physics and the technology and the engineering that then will power the future. So there's a real exciting potential here to provide learning opportunities. But fundamentally, it's about that visitor experience, but it's also about what people do on site. And if our plans do come to fruition, what we would like to do is obviously regenerate this building, but provide an extension to it as well, to house a community archive and a commercial and an event space as well. So we're viewing this project very much as the catalyst for the entire site. We've got 25 A-listed buildings. This is one of 3 that's at risk, and we want to use this as an opportunity to really shine a light and develop the site for the future.
So my name's Gordon Barr. I'm here from the Architectural Heritage Fund. We are a UK-wide funder, and our kind of key remit is trying to support the sustainable reuse of historic buildings. So we don't give projects funding just to save a building for the sake of it. We give projects funding to try and find a new use for a historic building. And that's why we were keen to fund this project. We're really excited about the opportunities here, about not just bringing this building and this space back to life, bringing people into this space, public for the very first time, and seeing this amazing, atmospheric, really unusual, unique sort of space, but the opportunities that'll then create both for the wider museum in terms of improving the visitor experience, telling the stories of this building and telling the stories of what happened here better, but also that aspect that Robin was talking about in terms of the energy story as well. How can historic buildings be adapted, be changed, be upgraded to help support that new green energy use? And the really interesting thing in this colliery and these buildings is this is a set of buildings and a set of spaces that have constantly adapted over the years to different types of energy, different types of uses. And this is just the next stage in its evolution. So we're really pleased and excited to be able to support this early stage development work in this project on that basis. To my mind, industrial buildings like the one we're standing in are a really important part of Scotland's heritage and our history. Robin mentioned that this is one of a number of buildings on the site that are category A listed, the highest possible level of listing. That means that these buildings are recognised as being just as important part of Scotland's history as our big houses, our historic castles and so on, and it's a really important part of the landscape, and it's really important that these buildings are retained and preserved and reused for the future, so that just as you can visit Edinburgh Castle in 100 years' time, you'll be able to visit this place 100 years' time as well, and let it tell its story about the part of Scotland's history that it represents, and that's really, really important, and this is a really unique example of that.